years ago, I saw on Instagram or YouTube or whatever that there was like loads of cyanotype stuff going on, and people were doing lots of like cyanotype designs on clothing. And I bought this, which is a cyanotype kit, and I've had it ages and I never got around to using it. But recently I had the idea of doing a jacket, like a video game inspired jacket of all my favourite games, and doing it lino. But then I found this in my cupboard, which is very dusty and horrible. I found it in my cupboard and I thought, what if I did a cyanotype one? So I've got this really cool blank canvas to do a sort of video game design all over it, and it's got some really cool pockets on it. It is a little bit bigger on me, but I kind of like that because it's like an outdoor jacket. But yeah, it's got like a pocket here, and it's got 2 pockets here. But yeah, it's it's quite a chunky coat, so there's lots of real estate to work with. So I'm excited for that. I'm gonna try and find my transparent film, because I bought some of that as well to do cyanotype, and I'm gonna do a mixture of screenshots from my favourite video games, sort of things in the games that you'd like go like signage and stuff, and you'd be like, oh, there, that's cool, and I know what that's from, and sort of bits and bobs. So I'm really excited for that. So it's going to be a mixture of photos that I'm going to turn into negatives, and then there's also going to be some like little graphic-y illustration bits that I'm going to put on it as well. Cyanotype is basically a mixture of 2 chemical powders mixed together with water to create a solution that becomes photosensitive. So it's sensitive to light and it turns blue when light hits it. So this was a photographic technique that was developed in the 1800s, and it's probably one of the first ever iterations of photography, and it's where blueprints come from. So you'd have a design etched on glass, and then you would put it over this photosensitive paper that's painted with this solution, and then you could make infinite copies of that one print. So basically that's what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do that on fabric, and I'm going to make my own negatives using a plastic film that you just put through a printer. So I'm going to make my own negatives and see how that works. So to start off with this kit, like I said before, it has both chemicals, well, part 1 and part B, in each container, and I've got to fill it up with water and mix the chemicals together in their separate bottles, and then you've got to leave it for 24 hours so it can develop and sort of merge all together like a photosensitive soup. And then tomorrow I can combine both part A and part B together, do a little test. I'm only going to be using a little bit at a time, only what I need, because once these 2 chemicals are combined, they only last around 2 to 3 hours. So I've only got that time to paint it on and then let it dry in a dark setting. So if I exposed it to light, when I paint it on the paper, it's just going to turn blue, and we don't want that. We've got to do it in a sort of dark room setting. So tomorrow night I'm going to combine these together and we'll do a little test, and on Saturday morning we'll see what happens. And then if I like what that outcome is, then we'll go on to move onto this jacket, because I've only got one shot to do this. With paper you kind of have infinite tries, but I've got one jacket and I'm not buying another one just to do this. So to print my negatives, I have this. Hello, sweetheart. I have this transparent film. It's for inkjet printers specifically, because my printer is an inkjet printer. So I believe you can get laser ones as well for this. So what I've done, I've been making some negatives on my iPad, and then I'm going to print off some sheets that I've already made onto this. And yeah, tomorrow when we do our little test with the film, we'll see if it works. Hopefully it does. Like photo negatives from film cameras, that's already put through a machine and processed, and then I get my negatives back. So I already have quite a few film like reels of negatives, so that would be quite cool to work with. But I've never made my own, like turning a digital image or illustration and turning that into a negative to print myself. Okay, so hold up. I think we need to rewind a little bit. I've explained what Cyanotype is and some of the tools needed to use it, but I haven't actually explained what designs I'm putting on this jacket. Like I said at the start of the video, I want to design a video game inspired Cyanotype jacket, but we need some video games to start off with. The ones I've chosen I think would work well converted to the Cyanotype format. So the games I have chosen are Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, Life is Strange, Stardew Valley, and Fears to Fathom. A pretty stacked selection if you ask me. Obviously I can't have a cobalt blue colour without adding a few things from Detroit Become Human, but I did think it would be a cool idea to add some elements of Connor's jacket to mine. After finding all of my images, mostly from Pinterest, I made this mock-up. This mock-up shows where I'm going to place the negatives, and I've also added colour for where I'm going to add the solution to the jacket. This is to help me set up as fast as possible so there's no chance of exposing the solution to light for too long. So how did I take these images and turn them into negative, and why do I need them to be negatives in the first place? So to cut a long explanation short, the reason why I need to invert these images is because if I were to print them out as they are and use them on my Cyanotype solution, I would end up with a print that is the negative of what I wanted originally. But if I invert the image before printing, then when I use it on my Cyanotype print, it will invert that image back to the original image that I wanted. So now you've all enjoyed my really poor explanation about how negatives work, let's head back to the studio and see how they turned out. So setting this all up to actually put the solution on the jacket after I'd let it sit for 24 hours in the bottles was really difficult because with my lamp on I couldn't see the actual colour of the solution, so it was a bit difficult to paint it on. But I chose to do this in the dark at night because you need a sort of red light room to do it in, like you would do if you're developing film. So I did this at night with my lamp on, which turned the solution into a completely different colour and I couldn't see it. And yeah, so I'm just painting it all on now, using the mock-up that I made as reference to try and speed this process up a bit instead of me going, where am I going to put it? Where do I think is the best places to put the solution? I've got it all mapped out already for me. So the next morning I was so worried that this solution was going to start developing really quickly, so I didn't actually film me putting this all together, but I did this at light speed. It was ridiculously fast. I had the blackout curtains drawn, but there was still a bit of light coming in through my curtains, like in the gaps, so I was really worried that it was going to start developing this a bit sooner than I wanted it to. But it was all fine, and what I used to lay my negative pieces flat was these bits of glass from picture frames. I'm doing this when the sun is not directly above the jacket. It's at an angle because it was in the morning and I couldn't really do this outside because my garden faces the wrong way for the sun, so in the middle of the day it starts going sort of behind our house and it shades our whole garden, so I couldn't really do it in the middle of the day where the sun was directly on top, so I had to do it in the morning, which meant that because the sun was shining in the window through an angle, it kind of made the images a bit warped and they were kind of a bit wiggly, and also with the glass being on top of it there was like a shade of like the edges of the glass which made like wiggly lines. I'm not mad about how this turned out. I actually really like this. I think it's kind of a cool little added thing to the jacket which makes it a bit more interesting. Okay, so that's all I've got for this video. I hope you guys liked the outcome. It was kind of a cool experiment to do. I do like the outcome. It's not like my mock-up that I did, but I know it wasn't going to be like that anyway. But I wasn't expecting so much bleed around all of the edges, and also bits where I'd sort of splotched on the solution where I didn't think I had solution. So there is like random bits like everywhere. But yeah, I really like it. I don't know if I've got the confidence to wear it out. It is a really cool jacket, but hopefully I can sort of add some stuff to it, maybe like some heat transfer vinyl or like a DTF decal to it, sort of build it up to be like a really cool mishmashy artsy jacket. So yeah, I'm really happy with it, and I hope that you all enjoyed the video. If you did like it and you want to see me do more things like this or any other craft based activities, let me know down in the comments below and I'll check them out. But for now, stay cozy and I'll see you all next time.